more than we can choose sometimes about automation. So that's why in the report you can also find several trends related to automation and AI. The one that we see coming up faster and faster is what we call democratization of automation. There's more and more usage or use cases for automation that support more people to use it. As we're going through a climate crisis, circular design and remanufacturing, especially on and related to the chip, the chip crisis around the world is a big trend for the next years. Micro-automated production capacities are also highly important, and at the same time more and more present. And one that I really enjoy and I really like is automation-centric cultures. You might have heard of the Woke Corporation. These are companies where automation is used not just to become more efficient and to produce more, but also to have a better and more equipped workforce for the challenges of the future that are also not always related to technology. In the end, and closing with my last slide, if you like, for the day, I think automation is, when we talk about automation for good, ultimately this is about people. And this is the first topic of the panel that we have now. We're super excited to be joined live from many countries, and we have a session on how automation can help organizations nurture a people-first culture. I'm very excited to have with us people from around the world, as I was telling you.
So I'm part of the learning group, and here is where we focus on automation skills. But before investing in automation skills, we have to invest in raising awareness on how people are getting impacted by automation, and whether they want it or not, it's here to stay. But this brings only opportunities for them, in the sense that they can become happier at the job, they can find a purpose, they can get rid of the things they don't want to do. And what's more important, to challenge the world as it is. Even though we speak about students or existing employees, I think having this mindset in which they challenge the world as they know it and make it better through automation skills and AI and all these technologies who are disrupting our world is something that we can focus on. And we see more and more customers and partners of ours who are taking this awareness approach as one of their core strategies to evangelize automation inside the company and create these communities of automation and AI enthusiasts. Well, I think what automation can bring is more time for people to find mutual values or mutual purposes. And having time to focus on the purpose that you find or the purpose that you want to build brings you along with other colleagues with whom maybe you did not have time in the past to speak with. Or there were too many mundane tasks that frustrated you and you did not find the opportunity or the mindset to connect with other people. And as we've observed, community-based learning is the one that's most successful. So people who find themselves in the same challenges, they connect with their peers, whether it's from different departments, and this is how we see automation brings people together to get excited and build innovative solutions.
The problem here is that most of the jobs affected by automation is low-end jobs. And actually, this is where we have to intervene, and at least this is what we are doing in the field. We are trying to do digital education so that we can prepare everyone for automation. Automation will come, like Vladimir said, it will come. There's no way about it. One of the things that we're doing besides going into schools and teaching digital education is what you see behind me. We are starting today an agri-tech camp. It's a camp about automation in agriculture, and we do this for high schoolers from agricultural high schools. So basically, we are trying to prepare everyone in different fields for what's coming. This is very important to understand that while, like I said, automation cannot take fully our jobs, we need to take care of the less advantage of us who don't have access to all this technology. I believe in a more developed state, this won't be a major problem, but for example, Romania or other countries that are still in development or underdeveloped, it will be a problem, and we need to somehow address this while working on other issues.
This is nothing new. Basically, we're at a fourth industrial revolution, and each revolution we have exactly the same problem, the same fears, and each revolution go and another one come afterwards. So I really believe that we need to give use cases to the people, to teach them, to reassure them that those industrial revolution are actually beneficial to society. For instance, the first one brought to us a lot of medicine, for instance, aspirin. The second one brought to us a technological agriculture, as you were saying. So to reassure people. And the second stage, and I will follow what Anna Maria was saying, is that we need, as a society, not just companies, to try to teach children and teach most specifically women and marginalized community STEM, science and technology studies. And to do that, we need to really goes into a cultural shift that's not just meant by companies, but give grants basically to schools to enroll students that are less advantaged and can't actually access that kind of education. We need to have companies actually mentor those students. So yeah, raise awareness, because automation is not just something that is bound to happen. This is something that has been happening for quite, and we are always on the same discussion about how it might impact the jobs, basically. But that's not the problem. The problem is not technology. Yeah. Technology is neutral, so it could be positive or negative. So we need to really reassure people by proof, basically, by showing proof that that a lot of use cases are positive and are actually improving people's lives.
I'm pretty confident that, as again my colleagues mentioned before, this type of technical development is the future. It's unavoidable because, again, there's lots and lots of benefits as outlined by all of you. However, as the academic, I also feel the need to say that it's not as easy as that because of all sorts of risks and pitfalls. Not only the mental image resistance that has been already described by previous speakers, or this inertia that exists in many institutions, in particular in the public sector, one could say, but also because there is a lack of knowledge about what this actually means. And to this, I can bring maybe a little bit of an example. A researcher that works with Swedish enterprises has done a national survey of top managers and middle managers across a variety of industries in Sweden. And whereas the top managers were very, very optimistic about introducing artificial intelligence in their company, middle managers and low-level managers were very, very skeptical because they perceived they did not know what is expected of them to actually implement. Whereas the top management, again, maybe this sounds familiar to some of you, perceived let's call it the marketing value or the advertisement value of saying this is an AI powered department. I think there are two things that are very clearly outlined in the academic research on this. The one is exactly as you said, an inventory of needs. Is AI really needed here? Or in my case, AI, but automation can be seen as a subsection of this. Is AI really needed, or can I solve my problem with something more basic? Do I need to make a huge investment for solving this particular issue? So that's probably step one. And then step two, if the answer to the first question was yes, is what make an inventory, I would say an overview of something that is very, very important, which is data. What type of data does the company have in order to provide enough quality substance to automate anything? Because if there is no data, the most ambitious CEO, the most ambitious visionary cannot really make it work as soon as possible. So everything kind of has to go back to the data. And the first step would be an inventory of data in the company if one decision is to go for the automation. There's more to say, but I stop here.
I kind of slightly disagree with the fact that technology is neutral. I think, at the contrary, we realize today that technology is central to our societies. That's the way public opinions are formed. That's the way human groupings are physically brought together. That's obviously how healthcare or privacy or education or equality topics are also tackled. And so the fact that you're either sustainable or private by design is something very, very, very important. It's not just a question of how you apply the technology. That's why we also think, and to finish on that there's no sense of being defensive. We need to be in the proactive way, because otherwise other people and other value systems will shape the world of the future. We want to shape the world and have a positive impact on it.
The main positive result of AI, maybe not surprisingly, is through new technologies or new possibilities within existing technologies. So you can, for example, use satellite data analyzed with deep learning to be able to track poverty, for example, and then that allows you to tackle all the targets within SDG1. But many of the negative effects of AI are associated with the fact that they exacerbate the existing differences. So differences and inequalities that could be really, well, if the future is going to heavily rely on this technology, and not everybody has the same access to data centers, to HPC, to simulation data to be able to produce good data-driven models, then clearly we're going to even increase the existing inequalities. So those are kind of like the main points. And perhaps the biggest limitation that we have at the moment when using AI for sustainability is that we are not considering the perspective of the sustainability of the AI technology itself. We are using these very large HPC centers to train the models. In many companies, actually, this training process is done perhaps in a bit of a naive way, trying to have more data, bigger models, and consuming more resources, having a huge electrical consumption and a huge environmental impact without really being aware of how much it really costs and what are the negative consequences of this. So perhaps nowadays, if we have to focus on the biggest limitation of the approach to AI, is on really understanding the economical and environmental impacts of AI, so the sustainability of AI, before maybe going to AI for sustainability in a way.
I think what is very important is that we refocus our research on what is called purpose. That means we do a lot of technology bricks, but we need to actually make the connection between science and society. So I give you an example. The European Union just decided yesterday that they will ban thermal engines to be sold cars in 2035. But to build electric motors, you need rare earths, you need permanent magnets, and you also need lithium, which, if we see the trend, will need 50 times, not 50%, 50 times more lithium. So these are topics where we will launch challenges on saying, can we, for example, reduce the cost of recycling lithium by a factor of 3 to make it much more interesting to recycle rather than to mine it? Can we do electric engines without these permanent magnets that are sourced 98% in China? If we think we are dependent on Russian gas, welcome to rare earths coming from China. And this is something where not only you achieve breakthroughs, you remain completely open to the way to do it. So you don't overprescribe. You give opportunity for the best researchers, deep tech startups, but also teams coming from industry. I think not only startups have the solution. We need just to focus on.
I think there are two approaches to what you were saying. It's one, how do you develop technology in a sustainable way? So with this sustainability by design principle. And the second one is what for are you using the technology so that you create sustainable outcomes? In talking about the latter, thinking about the UN SDGs that you can contribute to as technology providers, as a part of the ecosystem, it's really not, I think, about finding a solution to all the UN SDGs, trying to be too holistical at the same time. I think this is quite challenging and it can be disappointing. So I think the essence here is to figure out what are those challenges that you can tackle with the kind of technology that you can that you are developing, and then making sure that you're also intentional and researching, exploring, collaborating with other stakeholders to find the right solution. Just another perspective on digital literacy, but also sustainability literacy, I think we are faced with a new challenge. We're thinking about digital skills, basic, advanced, that are important in this new economy and for the digital agenda. But if we want to couple digital skills and digital targets with sustainability ones, we need to make sure that we are not creating skill sets that are, in silos. We need to somehow figure out how to bring this knowledge together so that, the next software developers, but also regular, citizens that want to operate in a business environment have at least the basic knowledge, both on digital skills, but also in terms of sustainability, because you need to couple the thinking in order to trigger, innovation in this new reality. At least that's my opinion, and I think it's not an easy one.
Yeah, I think you ended better than I would now. So thank you all for joining us, and I will actually end with a quote from the report, which says, "Ultimately, automation for good is automation for the people," and I dare to push for the planet as well. Thank you so much for hosting us, and to the other speakers and viewers. Don't forget, we're going to launch after the summer break, right? I think we all need a sort of a break. The Automation for Good report, what you can find in it is a series of use cases for a variety of topics, like how we can use automation and AI to have better homes, better food, better energy, better health and education, but also how can we work better, make stuff better, waste better, if you like. Until less, we should waste better, and also how can we create and use better public services. On that note, thank you again to Margareta and UiPath for taking on this challenge of finding what automation for good is and how we can all use it, whatever we are and whatever we do in the end. So have a great weekend. Weekend is coming up, and see you all quite soon. Thank you.